All right, so we're here with my man Ryan Anderson for the Pain Podcast, Episode 3. Ryan, quick intro. You were a Gatorade Player of the Year in high school, right?
Yep.
California?
California Gatorade Player of the Year, John Wooden Award winner.
Damn.
I don't remember what all the other stuff was, but I think somebody
Cool.
told me that I basically ran the sweep on everything in California. So it was
That's
pretty
awesome.
cool, man, back in the day. Then coming to BC, kind of leaving all of that was interesting, but it was
Yeah.
good. It's good memories to have for sure.
And then all ACC freshman team.
Yep, all freshman team in ACC. My sophomore year, I was third team all ACC. Uh, Junior year, I was honorable mention, and then my senior year at Arizona, I was first team all Pac-12. So
And you almost won Pac-12 Player of the Year, right?
yeah, I was second. I was second behind Jakob Podol. It's unfortunate we lost a game at Utah that kind of sealed my fate on that part. But yeah, I was
Right.
second. But I was still first team. I was really proud of it. Like, being all conference in two different conferences is something to this day that I'm super proud of. Like, not many guys can say they did it at the high major level in two different coasts. Like, that's something I'm super proud of.
For real. And you had the game, bro. Like, and that's why I wanted to just give you like your flowers in this intro because I played with you. And it's funny, like, as a teammate, you might not always understand or see that shit just because I was so either in my head about my own performance or just battling. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
But then
yeah,
like when I watched the film, I'm like, oh shit, this dude is cooking. Like,
yeah. No, we
so
used to get to it, man, for sure.
absolutely. So Killer as a player had a pretty good pro career.
Yeah,
Stopped by injuries.
yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate, man, because my I'll say my freshman year, my rookie year, I'm in Belgium. Agent telling me, this is a great spot to kind of level you up. I could have took a couple more dollars at some other places, but I took this spot because the journey, the grow your career, all that good stuff, and having a good year, second place in the league. We win the Super Cup for the first time in like years for that program, and we're having a great season. Start having this issue with my foot. Come to find out, it's like plantar fasciitis mixed with like adding just like some stress to like the top of my foot. I thought I had a stress fracture, but I didn't, and blah blah blah. But anyways, end up going through that. End up going through an issue with my knee where I was out 6 to 8 weeks. I had some PRP injection. So it just started out really well, then ended up going through that. And the foot actually kind of derailed the playoffs for us. And we ended up making the Final Four. And but I was average like 3 points a game in the playoffs. And as you know, like
I
I'm
know
not
how
a
that
three point
goes.
3 point per game guy. So like I was in a lot of pain, kind of rehabbed it or whatever. It didn't come back all the way my sophomore year or my second year. Went to Germany in training camp. Put on some different insoles trying to help my foot. Rolled my ankle, basically tore a ligament in my ankle, which shut down my second season. And at that point, I tried to bounce back. I went to G League for a year just to be in America with American doctors and stuff to rehab. Played there, got back on my feet. Went to
And you were
Lithuania.
killing it.
Yeah, I played well. Played well. And then like went to Lithuania, Ukraine. Then COVID happened, and then I bounced back to Lithuania my last season, and that was when started out the preseason well, started out the first couple games well, and then we had like this big like MVP matchup of the LKLs. Like this other guy was averaging like 17-9, and I was 16-9 or something, and it was big. Looking forward to a game. First play of the game, I went out and just tore my ACL, MCL, meniscus all in one step on like a reverse layup. And I remember when I landed, I just pushed myself to the basket, like the stand under the basket. And I was like, I'm done, man. Like I'm not doing myself this anymore because I had went first year injection and plantar issue, followed by torn ligament in my ankle, followed by one halfway healthy season, followed by another halfway healthy season, but COVID, followed by torn ACL, MCL, meniscus, and I just felt like in that moment, like the pain had caused me to like stop loving the game. And I think as we keep going in our talk, like the basis of the game and like what we do basketball wise, has to be around love. Anything we do in our life has to be around love. So if you fall out of love with something or someone or anything that you're passionate about, well, then you have to reevaluate like where it is in your life. So that's where I kind of stepped away from it and kind of retired on that aspect.
That's crazy. I actually didn't know all those details about your pro career. And that's what's also wild is like not everybody knows, even the ones close to you, what you're going through.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's a good segue into like kind of the closing up the intro of this podcast is like it's tragic when you are limited by your body
Hmm.
because it does attack the mental, it attacks your emotional output of the game. And that's what I explain to a lot of my clients is you are not only battling pain, like battling pain takes away from your emotional energy. And your
Right.
emotional energy is a huge engine that helps you work out when you don't want to. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
All
Yeah.
the all the early mornings, I was a big like workout at night guy, especially during my later years at BC when I got back onto the court. So like the nighttime was always me. And if I don't have enough emotional energy by the end of the day, that's when I started falling into bad habits as a pro. So instead of going back to the gym at night, I was like coping with beers and stuff. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And
Hmm.
so basically, I want this podcast to talk about like all pain, all encompassing about
Hmm.
how it affects us as people, as players, as
Hmm.
professionals, and then just like a little bit individualized towards you and your journey into coaching and kind of how you navigate this space as a coach, now knowing exactly what players are going through.
Right.
Because,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. No, I mean the pain, like I said, I remember, not being able to do certain things or not being able to go certain places simply because I felt like, man, like if I go walk around, let's say at the mall after practice, like
oh,
my foot or my knee or my hip is going to be killing me and I'm not going to be able to practice the next day or stuff like that. And I just remember like my whole life became like trying to like manage the pain versus like when I was growing up and trying to play the game, like I was pushing myself to get better. And I realized like at a certain point, it actually just became like management versus like I'm not pursuing anything. Like I'm just trying to
oh,
like almost delay the inevitable of like, man, my knee or my ankle or whatever is just gonna keep hurting. I'm no longer like attacking my day. I'm no longer, because I was the opposite. I was an early morning guy. Like I used to get up, like I'll get up at, I still do it with this coaching stuff. Like I'll get up at 5, 6 in the morning, go lift or go do whatever. Like that was my time because I just felt like it was more disciplined or whatever. But like
yeah,
I would get up and ice. I'd get up and stretch. I'd get up and like do
and
something else.
work.
And it's just like, that's not what you're not growing up trying to be passionate about icing your knees. Like
No.
that's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to like get better at the game. So the
And
pain ultimately just kind of wore me down.
a big part of those habits is like you're inherently worrying. And
Yeah. Yeah.
when you wake up in pain and structure your day around it, you are worrying and getting more emotional about it, and then
Right.
it's a downward spiral from there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that there's 2 days in Europe and everything. Like you don't have enough time to actually recover anyway. So it's just like you're just like, yeah, you're just waiting to the moment where you have to sit out 6 weeks or something like that to like try to catch back up. It's
Yeah,
not the way you want to play. Like you want to play where you're just free and coming on the court like to try to get better. And unfortunately, the pain just limits you. It
yeah,
limited me at BC. It started to limit me at Arizona. Like it just, you just get limited. So
yeah. And if you were able, or even if that wasn't a part of your journey, like think about like the exponential growth that you would have kept experiencing. And
yeah,
that's kind of what I'm doing right now. That's why I do what I do. It's because
yeah,
it's like it's tough. I never tell people I would have made the NBA. I like to say because I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
like
It's hard to,
I
but it's
recommend
hard not to say that we both of us wouldn't have though.
I tell people I would have had a chance. I would have had the chance to continue working out and get better
Hmm.
because the again, like what you said, is like the pain takes away from your workouts. And
Hmm.
that's inherently like as a player, you just want to keep stacking days and stacking these small wins. And
Hmm.
pain kind of cuts that off to where
Hmm.
you almost have to start over.
hmm
That is very tough.
Yeah, it's super difficult. You go from pursuing a dream to just trying to like keep the dream alive, and it's just like it's
Yeah.
not what you sign up for when you're a kid. It's just not.
Yeah.
You don't. They never tell you about all that other stuff, and that's part of being a pro. Is like I don't want to say like you don't take care of your body because that's not what I'm saying. But I think we're on the same page of just like when it all adds up, and it's like you get out of bed and you feel like you're like 60 years old. It's like, bro, like this is not like how it's supposed to be. I'm 27. I'm 26. Like I feel like I'm 60.
Right. And then and people are like, yeah, this is your prime. And you're
Yeah,
like, no.
that's why I literally be like, this is my prime. Like, bro,
Yeesh.
I don't know how I'm gonna be, but
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. I'm going to start asking you some thoughtful questions. We can run with it or we can just move on. All right.
All right, yep, hit me.
Cool. So one thing I noticed at BC while playing with you was you always felt the best when you were back home in Cali, and
hmm
you would always like if we were texting or when you came back to campus, you would be like, "Bro, like I feel so good because of what I was doing back home." And
Yeah,
then as our workouts progressed, you would like start feeling those like tight restrictions and the pain stuff
yeah,
as we progressed. So,
yeah,
like, can you speak to what factors played into that discrepancy between working out in California and then working out at Boston College, or just like back in the Eastern system?
yeah. I mean, I think I feel that even like right now when I'm coaching, still, it's like, whatever. There's a phrase like, whatever you do for your family normally takes you away from your family, and I think like I learned that when I went to Boston College. Like, I felt like I was trying to get a really good education. I was trying to play ball. I was trying to do a lot of things for my family. Like I was the first guy to go to college. I was the first guy to play, high major sports. Like I was the guy that everybody on our family would watch on TV, and I felt a certain obligation. And by the way, when I would come home, I also would be when he comes home, everybody's going to come over for a barbecue. So then the family gets together and everybody comes and sees each other. My friends all get together, and I always felt like a certain responsibility of like when I'm away, a burden of like doing this for them. And then when I'm home, a certain feeling of fulfillment from it, but then also a certain fulfilling of responsibility. Like I'm the reason kind of like everybody's in like at this barbecue is just because Ryan's in town. And
Hmm.
the tug of war of my heart of like, and then you go back and then like you said, like you're trying to do this and like only you know how you're feeling. You're it's cold, your body starts hurting, et cetera, et cetera. I just think it was a constant tug of war of like
Yeah.
priorities and feeling of purpose. Like what are you really doing it for? And I always felt like that. Even at Boston, that was a big reason why I went to Arizona. I wanted to just be closer to home. That was like a big part of the decision because I really wanted to go to Iowa State, but I was like, bro, I'm going back closer to home. Like I already been through this. And then, now coaching, it's kind of a similar deal. Like I get excited when I get a chance to go home. And then you come back out here and it's just like the repetitive grind of trying to do something for your family. So that's what I would say would be the biggest thing is like that responsibility fulfillment type of tug of war on that.
So, and that leads me to my next question. Like, we both battled a lot of pain throughout our journey, right? We
hmm
just touched on it a little bit, and that ended up limiting our performance.
hmm
Do you think now that you're more experienced and now that you're kind of less emotionally tied to what happened to us in college,
hmm
is it a system problem or could me and you have prepared our body better for that process?
Yeah, I mean that's hard because I think it is a little bit of a system problem in the fact of like we're 18 years old. Like we're not going to really know exactly how to take care of our bodies. Like maybe we could learn, maybe we could have did our own research. Maybe some of the research I did once I got to be like a pro when I was a little older, uh that I learned tricks on my own. Like maybe I could have done that younger, but I also felt like, like we had a weight coach, sports medicine and things like that, but they never really they put a band-aid on it, but they never really like taught me how to fix it. And I just feel like it just progressively got worse. And then unfortunately, like the tendonitis in my knees, like as you know, like I would have the same knee sleeves as you. I would heat my knees up every game at halftime and before the
Bro,
games. Like it was
we
it
were
was
we were wearing knee sleeves under our jeans and shit to
yeah,
class.
Yeah,
That's how
bro.
bad it got. And that's like something that I tell people, and that's something that I realized like within the last few months is like I told my wife this. I was like, bro, I used to wear knee sleeves under sweatpants to
Yeah,
go
and
to
it's
school.
just like, and it's just like that's not like I don't think that's on us because we were. I know I was really trying to like I would have done whatever to make them feel better. And
Yeah,
that's where I feel like, the people that were leading us in that aspect maybe didn't do a great job of teaching us. But, you know, that's where, again, that's where I'm trying to like help guys. Like a point
yeah.
guard last year was struggling with some knee tendonitis. Like I gave him like 4 or 5 things. I don't even know if our trainer was giving him stuff. He's probably was because he's good at his job. But like I just gave him 4 or 5 things that I used to do, and I was like, bro, this used to help me like not just do this stuff too, like whatever on top of your routine. So it just is what it is. But like I think it's a little bit of a system problem. But I also would say like that system isn't a problem everywhere. Like it wasn't a problem
Mhm.
at Arizona. Like they took a lot better care of me. I learned a lot more stuff. Like that's when I first started learning how to take care of my body. So
I
it's not everywhere. It's just I think maybe it was a little bit more BC at that time, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's a whole nother conversation is like how the West Coast deals with performance versus longevity and how the East Coast deals with it.
Yeah.
Because that's the first time that I saw it is when you guys talked about how you worked out at home and you were around NBA players when you were
Yeah.
back home in the summer. And that's the same stuff that they were doing. Like I think that's a big part of why NBA guys go to the West Coast too. Is
Yeah.
like the East
100%.
Coast is more, I think, more short-term performance driven, where it's like, dude, let's just like get you as strong and powerful as possible, as quick as possible.
Right.
And the West Coast is kind of like, let's preserve your body so that you can keep stacking those small wins, keep
Yeah.
stacking days, and get good consistent work.
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree with that. Like just a different style on the court and off the court. Like it's just it the game is just treated differently. So it is
Yeah.
what it is. But every I'm not saying one way is right or wrong, but I think that in the perfect world is like a blend of both. So
Yeah. One thing that I will say is I think just the same reason how we wanted to do everything we could to get out of pain. I do believe that everybody in our circle at BC, like everybody on staff, wanted to do the thing and they were doing the best they could like with what they had. So I
hmm
do think like instead of blaming somebody, I do like blame the system of like how people are learning about this stuff. Because
hmm
especially 15 years ago, I think it was a lot different. Like
yeah.
the
Yeah, it's
system
more about
wasn't.
just like it's not like they didn't care about us. It's just like they didn't know, or maybe they just weren't having the resources that's necessary to like help us. Like I
Yeah.
think it is what it is. Like I just remember icing and getting in the cold tub and stretching with John Carney.
Mm.
uh,
Yo,
Homeboy.
one thing I tell everybody now, and this is one of the first things that Hank told me is no more ice, no more local ice.
Yeah.
So when you and what's crazy is the guy that came out with the rice method, like later he like there was an article that was like, yeah, I didn't base that off of any scientific research. Like he just made that shit up.
Yeah.
And
I lived
so
by that back in the day.
what's crazy is when you look at the body holistically, your body is sending inflammation to your knees, and your knees get hot and inflamed because your body needs to bring blood to the area. Because blood is what's bringing the nutrients there, because your body is getting signals that something in the area is damaged. So
hmm
if you're damaging tissue in the knee, your body needs to send blood to that area. And what ice does is just lock all that shit up. So
hmm
when you look at your knee as like, it's one of the major intersections in your body.
hmm
If you lock up that intersection and then there's traffic for hours, you are now prolonging your body's natural way of recovery.
That
And
makes
that
sense.
yeah, that rang some bells for me right away. It was like, oh shit, like it feels good when you ice your knees because it's just numbing everything.
Right.
It's
Right.
and then you got to think if you ice after practice, your body would be going through a natural recovery process of like an acute phase for a couple hours,
hmm
and then the phase after that is like where you get the good recovery. If you
Mhm.
stop that, then it's just prolonging, and then the next practice, that's when your knees become tighter and tighter and tighter. And
Yeah,
so
no,
one of the
that's what the
first things,
problem was.
yeah, bro, that one of the first things that Hank had me do was get into the hot tub after practice just to speed up the circulation systemically
Uh-huh.
and then do some corrective exercises. Even if I was in pain, it's almost like just restoring good function overall to your body, and that's what helps the knee. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So
Yeah.
it's but that's always one thing that like I'll say on a sales call or I'll just tell people and they'll be like, "Whoa, like dang." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Cuz it's such a and that goes back to the system.
Yeah.
In the
Everybody
system,
tells you just ice.
everybody says that, and it feels good, but that again, like you said, that's another band-aid.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure,
So
brother.
cool. So we're all limited by our body's ability to kind of like withstand and survive in this
Mhm.
game, like survive in practice, survive in all the workouts.
Right.
How did you learn, whether it was at BC, Arizona, or during your pro career? How did you learn how to find that balance as a player?
Yeah, I mean, I started to just kind of pick up little habits. I mean, like I said, the trainer at Arizona gave me a few kind of nuggets in terms of like releasing my hips a little bit more and like grasping tools and kind of more stuff than just like stem and heat or ice, which I kind of fell in love with in terms of using. And then when I got to be a pro, just learning like eccentric exercises to kind of like load the tendon and stuff like that. Like I learned a couple of those things. That once I became a pro, after I tore the ligament in my ankle, uh, I got with a guy with the Clippers that kind of did a lot of holistic stuff and taught me about like opening my hips and like some different stretches, like using like a stretch band, but just like a little bit like resistance and things like that. And I just kind of picked up a few things, like every injury almost, like I just like picked up like a new little from somebody that I was with or whatever, picked up like a new little trick or something that I just feel like, man, if I would have had that when I was like 16, like I would have been like way different. Like if I would have had like, if you told me I was like opening up my hips, doing a couple like loading exercises, warming up my glutes every time I practiced before BC, like I would have been my knees. There's no way my knees would have hurt like at
You're
18
right.
like, the way they
I feel
were.
the same way.
But like I didn't know any of that stuff, so I would stretch, I would foam roll, I'd put my knee sleeves on, and I'd go to practice. like
Yeah,
like that was it. Like I had no activation, I had no like loading of anything, and then just like I would just go to practice and then be hurting after and then ice. So I was like doing like I was doing what all I knew, but all of it now is like you realize like man, like there were so many better options.
yeah. That's a really cool thing you said about how injuries teach us stuff.
Yeah,
You know
yeah, they
what I mean?
taught me a lot. They
Yeah,
taught me
like
a lot.
every time you go through an injury, it is low key a blessing about it's teaching your body like what is wrong. And
Hmm.
that's what I try to tell people. Pain is really just a signal to our brain that's saying something is wrong. Like
Right.
something is getting damaged, and how you rebuild your body, like the pain can be your roadmap in that process, which is a
Yeah.
beautiful thing, honestly.
Yeah. No, it's
Who,
exactly right.
who's the guy in the Clippers? Because I'm gonna reach out to him.
I don't even remember his name, bro. It was so long ago. He was like this old white guy. He like worked with Joel Embiid with his foot back in the day. He
Uh,
wasn't. He wasn't directly. He wasn't like
it
working
wasn't.
with the Clippers. He was like he worked with Clipper players. You know what I mean?
Was
Like
it Lenny Parasino?
Lenny. Yeah, that might be his name actually. Lenny
Yeah,
sounds
bro.
like
Lonnie told me about him.
yeah. I think that's him. Lenny. Yeah, Lenny. That
Big
actually sounds.
fan.
Yeah, he was good, bro. He was good. He
Yeah,
helped me a lot.
I've listened to a lot of his stuff. He's a big in the fascia stuff about how your whole all the soft tissue in your body is connected.
Yeah,
So
he
he
was.
has a really,
That's actually him, bro. Yeah, he was good.
so
Good.
he's the reason he's like driven a lot of my thought process around running your own business and then working in a system. Because one thing he said on a podcast that just has resonated with me so heavy, he was like, I work with the NBA because it gets me in a room with the best doctors in the world. So if
Mm,
Joel Embiid gets hurt, we're not just using our guys. We're calling in the best knee guy or the best foot guy. We're calling in the best soft tissue doctors. We're calling in
Hmm.
the greatest minds. Excuse me. And he was like, that's the
Yeah.
reason why I love being in the NBA. And ever since I heard him say that, I was like, dang, like I need to do that to continue my growth and learning.
Yeah. Putting yourself in the right rooms, man, for sure is important.
Yeah, that was awesome because I heard him say that a couple months ago, and I feel like it's really helped me figure out my path.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So I guess we kind of touched on this without throwing shade. What is the difference that you noticed in the preparation between either East Coast and West Coast or at BC versus Arizona in terms of the off-season preparation and the preseason preparation?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like that's where I first started learning like our weight coach over there called it negatives, but like it would be
Mm.
basically eccentric training, like loading the leg extension or hip press or lunges and holding it and then coming up or even arm stuff. Like we would do it everywhere in our body. That's the first place I started to learn like loading my tendon and like the difference between like I could push, let's say I could bench press 250, but could I hold and keep my shoulders stabilized and bring it down and then press up and like generate force a different way? Or that's one way in the way we trained, or like starting to implement like more like sand work and like plyometric training where it's like sand or pool or different surfaces where I'm not like, hey, you don't have to be on a court every time to get like conditioning, whether it's a bike or where like we might have did bike workouts, I think back at BC, I think, but a
Mhm.
lot of times I remember doing like sled, like we would put the sled behind us and like sprint on the court with the sleds. And like we would do the same thing at Arizona, but we do it in the sand, for example. That's an example of
Yeah,
like,
just like more low impact options.
yeah, yeah. And it's just like I also liked it because like I felt like my feet and ankles or like getting stronger just being like on an uneven surface. So it's like little things like that. And then you get into the season and everything from just the resources they had from Graston to the cold to the massage therapist. We had a massage therapist to flying private every flight. So you're not like stuck in the airport on a cramped plane. Like
Yeah,
just
get over
little
it.
things like all kind of just I would say would add up. Like if we had a game on Saturday, let me get this right. Yeah, if we played a game on Saturday, we would get a massage on Thursday. If we would have a game, it would be like one game. If we had a game on Sunday, it would be on Friday. Like it'd be 2 days before the game. We would have 2 days before we'd get everybody would get a 30 to 45 minute, like, it wasn't like a regular massage. It was like a sports massage, like
Yeah,
deep tissue, like whatever knots or whatever you have, like it would clean you up. And I would be feeling like $1 million after, like I'd be like,
for
man,
real.
like I wish I would have had something like this at BC and stuff like that. Just to, like, it's not the same as foam rolling. Like it's just not like you do an active release massage or something. Like, it's just not the same. You need
Yeah.
someone to do it on you. But all those type of little things, I just think like added up to making us better players at Arizona. So
Mm.
I would just say like, and those goes down back to like when I say resources, it's not just like the tools that are in the training room. Like it's the money to fly a private plane. It's the money to bring in a private masseuse. It's the money spent to do X, Y, and Z outside of just like the few tools that are in the training room. Like they put more money into like keeping us healthy. So that's
Yeah.
what I'd say.
All right. Well, yo, say what up to Shanae first.
Hey
Shanae,
guys,
what up? What up?
it's
We're
been a
just
minute.
we're
How are you?
we're just talking back on the good old days and also the bad old days. A little bit of
Yeah.
both.
A little bit of
Yeah.
both. A little bit of both.
Nah, because what I said, we're trying to show the people like pain centric, but about this process because he's been on all sides of it. You know what
Well,
I
yeah,
mean?
pain means a lot of different things. So I'll let
Yeah.
y'all keep at it. But it's good to see you. Glad
Yeah,
you're
good
good.
to see you for sure. Keep this guy in check over there.
So, as a pro, like, what are those habits that you continue to do to help you, or what is a new habit or belief that helped you perform and survive?
Yeah, I would say like probably like my second year I started to realize like glute activation and like both stretching, loosening my hips and strengthening my hips, like both flexors and my glutes and everything. Like I would say that that's around then that I started like using like a, I don't know what they're even called, like the little walk bands, like the resistance bands you put around your knee or whatever.
Yep.
And that would be around the time that I started using that. And I felt like that during that time when COVID kind of hit, that was a big reason why at that time I didn't have too much knee pain. Because the practices weren't as hard. And I was like, I had been pretty steady with like both stretching and activating my glutes. And the combination of not having too hard of practices plus that, I actually felt pretty good at that time till COVID hit. So that would have been something I feel like helped me. And then afterwards, it just wasn't enough. Then we started
Well,
practicing too much. I feel like I'm activating like every 3 hours.
yo, for real. How did you feel in the G League? Because in my experience, the G League and America as pros, they prioritize how you feel instead
Yeah,
of like
I felt a lot
being.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah, I felt a
Europeans.
lot better. Like we did this. I don't know if you guys or if you've ever done something with it, but I don't know what it's called, like a vortex or something like that. But it's like a big black, like kind of like thing that you put your hands in, and you could kind of like lunge up, lunge
Oh yeah,
back,
yeah,
lunge
yeah.
to
With
the side.
water in it.
Sometimes it has water. Sometimes it's just weighted by itself. So they
Oh
would
yeah.
have like they would have like
It
a
looks like it had the PVC pipe or something.
yeah, it kind of looks like a heavy PVC pipe with like handles, and he would do a lot of stuff like warm up related with that. Like before the game, we'd go through like this ankle mobility, and then this like basically like that PVC pipe warm up, and that's when I started to learn like strength and like movement versus like strength and like bench press. You know what I mean? Like
Muscle versus
yeah,
like the
yeah. Where
system.
like I just started like I'd reach up, I would just feel like kind of my shoulders a little bit, my back a little bit, my legs, obviously like
Yeah.
a lot, and I just felt like I was warming up my whole body. So that kind of taught me that stuff. And then unfortunately, when I went overseas, like they just didn't have anything like that. So I went back to not being able to do it. So, but I definitely think that the G League and those guys, they do prioritize like the health of the players, which is good.
Mhm. Over your whole entire career, was there a morning routine or pre-practice routine that you liked? It doesn't have to be like bodily warm-up stuff like the glute activation. Was there any other like mental stuff that helped you prepare for practices and games?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just one simple thing I used to do, and like I actually started it when I got to Arizona because just when I got there, it just I don't know how to say, but it just like meant more to me. Because I kind of like had sat out for a while. I think just stepping away from the game like made me a little bit more hungry. But I used to do this thing where like I'd pat my chest and I'd go like this and I'd point to my back, and nobody really knew what it meant, but like it meant like I play for my team, but most importantly, I play for my family.
Mm,
And then it meant a lot to me, and I did it all the time. Like if I got an and one or something, like I might like hit my chest and point to my back or something, and everybody never really knew what it was, but I just knew what it was. And then funny enough, though, when I got overseas, I just started pointing to my back. Like it was like my way of saying like I don't care about these teams. They don't care about me. Like I'm
yeah,
only doing this for my family. And in some ways that's like a kind of a toxic mentality to have, but it's reality. And I think like looking back, like that was the way that I kept myself like going, but
yeah.
also it shows a lot about like what I thought about being out there. Like so that would be what I
Dude,
would say. I would just like I went from chest to point to the back to just point to the back.
dude, but those rituals have a really deep meaning and they help you refocus no
Yeah.
matter what's going on externally. That's awesome, whether it's like a mantra that you say to yourself or something that has a deep meaning to you.
Yeah,
That's like always
it was super simple and like national anthem or whatever play out. I'd hit my chest, quick say a quick prayer, and just point to my back, and like that was my way of being like even though I don't know what this national anthem just was, and I don't know what my coach is gonna be saying, like I'm doing this like for God and my family and like the people I care about. So that was kind of how
100.
I would lock in.
That kind of answers the next question, which is like, what is an absurd or unusual habit that helped you as a pro? Is there anything
Yeah,
else? Does that nail it?
yeah, that kind of would be my number one thing that I had as a habit. But I would say my other thing, and I actually did this even when we were at BC, And I don't know if you guys, nobody ever really knew it, but I did it my whole career from high school to college to pro. But like I would sit anywhere on the bus, like whatever my seat was on the bus. But there's a verse in the Bible that says the last will be first and the first will be last, basically talking about patience. And a lot of times on the teams I was on, I was like first or second best player and like captain or whatever you want to say, however you want to put it. And my way of like basically like staying trying to keep myself humble and also keeping myself on that mindset of like being about the team. I
Yeah,
never got off the bus before anybody else. I was always the last person to get off the bus. And that was like another thing I did just in terms of like keeping myself grounded, keeping myself understanding like it's not about me. Let these guys go. Like that was just my thing that I used to do. Like started way back in high school because I used to sit in the back of the bus and then because I thought I was whatever, cool guy or whatever. And then it just worked its way to BC and then Arizona and whatever. Like I always just all the way to a pro, like to my last game, like I always got on the bus last. So that would just be another maybe little kind of weird thing I used to do, but just trying to keep my mindset about like team first.
that's awesome. I
Yeah.
like that, bro. What is the what is the main difference you saw between college basketball and playing professionally? Maybe something new that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, I would just say like the camaraderie, like when I got to pro, not only were they like obviously from another country, but it really messed me up with like I had some younger guys from Belgium on my team, but like they would go home, like they would leave practice and like go kick it with their high school friends or go kick it with their girlfriend or some of them go kick it with their wife and kids.
Mhm.
And like I would have like a couple of my teammates that were like American or whatever, like but as I went through, a couple of those Americans also had families of their own because they were older and stuff. And it's just like man, I miss like the camaraderie, like win or lose, bro. Like we were all boys, at BC, and it was the same way at Zona. Like we were tight, bro. Like everything I did it with the team. Like I was always like, I'm social. Like I like to be
Yeah,
around
bro.
people. I like to laugh. I like to like, oh, you want to go do this? Bet. Let's go do this. Let's do that. Like I love to like be around people, and then like I would get out there, and it was just like straight business. Like they would go their separate way after practice. I'd go my separate way after practice. And I was like, damn, like I miss like nobody told me like, the business aspect of like these guys got families and other responsibilities, like that camaraderie and that like that family feel, I think played a part in why I stopped pointing to the chest because like I didn't feel like any relationship with those guys. So it's just
Yeah,
like I'm not gonna play for them. Like I'm just gonna play for myself. So all that kind of plays into the buildup of all that for sure.
yeah. It's tough too. Like it's inherent in the professional culture of like when you're in college, you guys are together next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
you
it's
live together, you travel together, you go to class together, like
yeah, and we
everything,
all
eat together.
besides transfers, which was rare back then, it's like we know we're gonna be together. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? For the next couple years. But now as a pro, it's like I'm worried about next year's contract. Like I
right.
have money to worry about, which means some dudes or most people are gonna choose themselves over the team. Like
Hmm.
when it comes down to it. And that's what I noticed as a pro is like in America and overseas, like dudes kept to themselves more. I think they were more reserved when it came to like opening up or like being goofy around the team just because they were so locked into like their own
Sure.
individual performance.
With my boys, we said when you're overseas, it's like straight survival. Like you go into like this survivalist mentality where it's like you have to survive, and surviving isn't just like playing well. It's just surviving like you don't get caught in a situation off the court where you know something that happens that you don't plan for or anything like you're just trying to survive, and that survivalist mentality, kind of that fight or flight mentality, like you get in a mindset of just like defensive, like you're just always like on edge. You're always just your
Yeah.
mindset is always just like kind of, I don't want to use anxious as a word, but like just like you're on edge like all the
Yeah.
time when you're overseas. Like
I mean, the fight or flight response promotes anxiety, you
yeah,
know?
it's just
And that
like it's just not a healthy way to live. That's what I would say.
yeah, and I think that's why it's important to have leadership on the teams. I was blessed to have a lot of good leaders in my pro career, even in the G League, where it's like a lot of bigs don't eat at all in the G League just because it's like guard heavy shooting. But I had Phil Pressey on my team, and he made it clear to everybody, like he was the NBA vet on the team. So people were listening to him, and he
Hmm.
was in a position he could have only cared about himself and went back into the NBA. But like every day he would be like, yo, if we all eat and win, then we'll get paid next year. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's important for guys like that to kind of step into that leadership role because that helped me out a lot. Like,
For
dude,
sure.
in Santa Cruz, the year I played in Santa Cruz, like I was getting a lot of buckets because people were unselfish. And it's
Mhm.
like, I wasn't really creating a lot on my own. So I was like, dang, dude, like I'm like truly grateful for these guys.
Yeah, yeah, no, it does a lot, man. It's just like that's just what I would say is the biggest difference for sure.
Mhm. All right, cool. So now you're coaching, and we've talked a lot about your experience and the lessons learned around injury, around taking care of your body, around like being a part of that unit, and you had a really good career. So like how do you instill the things that we talked about into these younger guys?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Miller has a phrase, and I think it's so true, bro. Like it's the realest, and I actually keep it on our whiteboard in here. It's like he talks about how do you get respect from the players, like you player, and I think about when I was a coach, like what coaches did I respect and what coaches didn't I respect, and he says like basically comes down to how do you get the respect is you're honest with them. You don't BS them on stuff that they know. You hold them accountable in terms of you're honest with them. Like you
Yeah.
have to be able to be honest with them. Then the second part he says is you got to be knowledgeable. Like, and I think about all the coaches. Like immediately when I realized like he didn't know what he was talking about, like I immediately had no respect for him. Like I might be cool
Mhm.
with them, but like I don't have no respect for you. Like you don't know what you're talking about, and that could send it down a bad, unhealthy, relationship in terms of coach to player. And then the last thing, so you're honest with them, you're knowledgeable about what you're talking about. And the last thing, where I really try to, separate myself or just to hold my feet to the fire is just your work ethic. And I think they notice if you work hard. Like
Mm.
players notice if you're in the gym with guys all the time, if you are watching extra film and sending them some video, or you're staying in late night or doing this or doing that, like your work ethic allows them to respect you a lot more. So if you're honest with them, if you're knowledgeable about what you're talking about, and you're relentless with your work ethic, especially as a former player, it goes
Yeah.
a long way to your respect, because a lot of former players don't have that work ethic, like in terms of being a coach. Like they don't want to do the tasks that a lot of coaches have to
Mm.
do, because it's a lot of busy work sometimes, a lot of office work, a lot of other stuff. Like they don't want to do that stuff. Or maybe they were a great player, but they're not knowledgeable on how to display that message. Because at the end of the day, we're teachers. We're just teaching basketball. Other
Yeah.
people teach mathematics. You can be Albert Einstein and know all the mathematics or science in the world, but that doesn't make you a good teacher if you can't deliver the message.
And
So
connect.
and connect with them, and the connection comes with the honesty. So it's like
Mm.
that's where I try to hold myself to the fire on those three aspects, and like shifting from a player, and the further I go from a player to a coach, I really feel myself growing in those aspects. And that's what I would just say, like to be a player's coach, or whatever people want to use that term, like where the coach, like the players, like really actually genuinely like appreciate you and like you and respect you. I think it comes down to those three things for sure:
Wow.
honesty, knowledge, and your work ethic.
Yeah. And so I was gonna say too, is like you get those things from being a player, but
Yeah.
you have a different perspective of like some players that turn into coaches take that shit for granted because they're
Yeah,
like,
you
oh
you
no,
you
like
start with it. You start with it, but what I've learned is you can start with it, but you can quickly lose it. Like,
yeah,
I've seen former players that they have respect, and there is a certain level of respect. Like they'll never drop below that level of respect,
yeah,
but they lose the respect as a coach when you're not kind of like locked into those three aspects. But when you
yeah,
are locked into those three aspects, like your respect level, I feel like just grows and grows and grows over time. And like without being really said, it's just like, No, he was a great player, but he's also a great coach. Like, and this is why he's a great coach because he works hard, knows what he's talking about. He shoots me straight, like, and all those stuff like that. Like, and I'm just trying to like, as a young coach, just grow in those aspects. That's like my biggest thing. Like every day is like, can I learn? Can I work? Can I work a little bit harder or smarter in this area? Can I grow my knowledge? Like I'm always trying to like I want to soak up new things. Like I want to learn whether I like it or not. I want to try to like learn something new. And then like as even when it's hard or even when those combos are tough, like I try to just shoot players straight.
Yeah,
Bro, you're tripping right now. Like or bro, you're playing really really well. Like I'm gonna tell you both ways. Like
yeah,
and I
and
think
they need that for sure.
yeah.
Like players
So
do.
that's where I'm kind of at with it for sure. So
What about the injury stuff? Like, what have you learned recently from seeing it from the other perspective of like a guy's hurt, he's dealing with some stuff. Like, what's different now that you see it from a coaching perspective?
yeah, I would just say like, coaches are under so much pressure, bro, like to win. Like their
Yeah,
job, your family, when you're a pro or you're in college, like playing like for NIL right now, or you become a pro someday, like your family eats off of your performance, your team's performance in winning, but also your performance. Like even if your team loses overseas, but like let's say your team is second to last, but you like led the league in scoring, like you might not get the best opportunity the next season, but like you're gonna have a pretty good contract somewhere, and like a bigger team's at least gonna like try to see if you can be a part of winning. Like you're gonna get a good deal. Whereas like the only thing that matters for coaches is wins or losses. Like
yeah,
and so when it comes to like the individual players, it's easy. I can see how it's easy for a coach to lose the importance
perspective.
of
Yeah,
of treating the individual player like the best possible way that they can,
yeah,
whether that mean like whether it's mental health or physical health or whatever they might be going with. So many times like, come on man, just tough it out or tough play through this or we need you, blah blah. And like, yeah, you do, but at the same time, like the health of the players and like especially if it's mental health stuff, like that stuff's got to be like trump everything else. And I think, that's one thing I've thought about is just like so many times I felt like coaches, in my time when I wasn't my best, come on, push through this practice, push through this game. We need you, this and that. And it's like, looking back, like, man, like, or to your point about being away from home, like, I'll use Boston for an example. Like, not once did anybody, I feel like, ever care that I was away from home. Like you were in Boston, like you can go home and see your family. Your mom was always at the games and stuff. You saw your sister, like, but you had your family around.
yeah.
Like when did anybody ever ask like me and Lonnie how like or JD like you guys like miss home at all? Like you guys all right? Like it's
Dude,
first winter out here. Like are you
that's a
guys
really
good?
good point.
Like
And
nobody ever asked us like, bro, like your first winter with snow and everything. Like you guys all right? Like is it kind of like draining you? Because I would have probably told you like, yeah, it was really tough. Not for the cold. Like I don't care about the
no,
cold.
I always,
It's the mental toll of like, bro, this is a lot of change for me.
yeah.
This is just
And people that know you know that you're very family centric. So
yeah. So it's
it
like,
makes a
but
lot of
like
sense.
for as the coaches to never really like kind of tap into that stuff. It's neither here nor there. Looking back on it, but it's just like I try not to go down that road now. Like if I know a guy like last year, for example, we had three guys that were international and coming from, and I was like, I told them like, I know what it's like to live in another country. Like I really tried, even when they were struggling on the court, like tried to make sure that off the court they were happy.
Yeah,
Like they were good. Like they needed something that they knew that they could come to me because I know what it's like to be in another country. So I would just say like prioritizing the players, mental and physical health. It kind of crosses over that line of like, man, we need to win games, and I can see how some coaches go the wrong way on that. But you know, maybe I'll feel differently when I'm in the head coaching chair, and like, but as an assistant, I try to lean towards more just making sure those guys are good.
yeah. And I think it everything exists on a spectrum, and it's tough when you are losing because then if you're on the hot
Yeah,
seat, you got to turn that shit up of like, oh,
exactly.
like winning was always important, But now that my job is literally on the line and it has been on the line for maybe a year straight, it's like, oh no, now we're all the way over here on that spectrum of like, I don't care how you feel. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And I don't blame any individual because I dealt with that in college and as a pro.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see
Yeah.
the stress of the job, it changes people. And that's what's tough. And I think you got to do a lot of mental work to counteract that because the
Right.
stress really does, it'll make a very good and virtuous person bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
No doubt. No doubt.
it's a tough thing to balance.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen it everywhere. It's not just in college, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. So changing the topic a little bit, in basketball in general or body awareness, what is some bad or overused recommendations or advice that you hear in your profession now?
I mean, on the coaching side, I would just say like that like candlelight mentality. Like you gotta be at the office till 2 in the morning. Like, like you gotta be, the first one in, the last one to leave. Like there's some of that to it, back to our work ethic part of it, but like I have a thing, like, I try my best not to bring my laptop home with me unless like there's something I might really pertinently need to do, because it's like my way of like being like, when I'm here, if I need to be here from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., I'm gonna work. But when I
Yeah.
go home, I'm done working. I'm whatever needs to happen, I'll do it in the morning, unless
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
gotta recharge.
yeah. And I just think like a lot of coaches, like, they just burn themselves out with 100 different things, and it's like, well, you're not gonna be able to like sustain that. Like it's not sustainable, and just that candlelight mentality, I think, is just an overused type of thing in the coaching industry. And as a player, I would just kind of say like, you know, just like, you know, me before team, like, especially like as a pro, like we mentioned earlier, like, they try to like sell you on, like, even pros, like they try to sell you on the team. And like I'd rather just have guys over the years just shot me straight, like, this is a business, you know what I mean? And just
Yeah.
don't even try to sugarcoat it, like if we play bad, like, you're just gonna cut us. So those
Yeah.
that would be that the player side of it, but then more so on the coaching, just that mentality that you gotta work 15 hours a day. Like, no, you actually don't. You work hard as hell when you're trying to work as hard as you possibly can, and then it's okay to take a day off. It's okay to leave early some days or whatever. Like, do
Well,
what's
just
going to allow you to be like your best, so that you can continue to be like the best coach that you can be. So
yeah, just like as a player, you need to recover to be your
yeah.
best self.
And
So
I think
that
like ain't
makes sense.
nobody going don't like say that I'm not gonna have a day off here and there, or dip out early on a day when I can. It doesn't come often, so like when I can, I try to take those moments for sure.
Word. All right. So you are a teacher of the game now. If you could make a billboard that every hooper would see across the entire world, all levels, what would it say and why? It could be a few words or a paragraph.
Man, I got a lot of them, man. I got a lot of them.
A lot of one-liners.
Yeah, I got actually a whole board of one-liners right here. If you want me to read them off to you, I got a bunch of them.
Choose your favorite two.
Uh, I would say for sure the yeah, I would say my top two right here would be repetition builds reputation. I got that from the Cleveland Cavaliers back in the day. Repetition builds reputation, meaning whatever you repeatedly do builds your reputation.
It becomes who you are.
It becomes who you are. It becomes what people think of you. Like, whatever I did on a day-to-day basis is what you're gonna tell somebody about me,
Yeah,
good or bad.
love that.
And the same thing that, like, when I'm not in the room, or when I'm not in the room with you, whatever I remember about you, your repeated actions is going to be what I say about you, your reputation. By the way, your reputation also comes from your repeated actions on the court.
Yeah,
What you do repeatedly, are you a low post scorer? Are you a shooter? Are you a driver? Whatever you repeatedly do becomes your reputation. So if you look at it from that way, why would you ever want to repeat a negative action? You're nobody's perfect,
Yeah.
You're gonna turn the ball over. You're gonna make a mistake. You're gonna have bad body language maybe sometimes, but like, why would you ever want to repeat the same thing?
No, yeah, you
Like,
don't want
you,
that to be the thing.
otherwise you're gonna be. You're what are they gonna label you as? You're turnover prone. Oh, he has bad body language. He has an attitude. You start getting a certain reputation. So there's nobody's perfect, and we understand that. But like, repetition builds reputation. Whatever you repeatedly do, try to have it be the best version of yourself or what you want people to say about you. And if that's on the court and off the court, then you're able to kind of like build that narrative of yourself, both as a player and as a teammate and as a friend or whatever. So like that would be that would be the one thing I would kind of say. Um, that would
That
be a
would
big,
go up
big,
the
big
door.
time phrase. Another one I would say has been more recently. Just one that I've been saying a lot is chicken sandwich. Meaning, and nobody would really know what it meant, so I'd have to explain it. But chicken sandwich mentality is basically at Chick-fil-A. Let's use Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A makes millions of chicken sandwiches every day. They're gonna show up. It's similar to the reputation deal. Like when you show up to Chick-fil-A, you're gonna expect a certain type of chicken sandwich. You're gonna expect it to have a little bit grease on the bun, some pickles. Polynesian sauce is gonna be good. Chick-fil-A sauce, whatever you like to put. It's going to be good. The waffle fries are going to be good. The lemonade is going to be good. The chicken sandwiches you're going to get from Chick-fil-A is going to be really good. But they make millions of chicken sandwiches every day. And if you were to have one chicken sandwich that, let's say, gives you food poisoning, for a long time, you're probably
You
not
are.
going to want to eat Chick-fil-A. And you're going to also tell other people that you got food poisoning from Chick-fil-A and they shouldn't eat Chick-fil-A. So in the metaphor, it's saying, even if you do something a million times, you got to do it a million and one times. Meaning, like the way you
At
attack
that
your
same
day
level.
at that same exact level. Just because you've had a million good days in a row, you got to have a million and one good day. Just
Yeah,
because you've had a million practices in a row, you got to try to have a million and one good practices. And you
I
can
like
use it
that.
in a bunch of different ways. But like if you have a chicken sandwich mentality, like you can't rest on your laurels of like what you've already done because you're only as good as your next chicken sandwich. And if
Mm.
Chick-fil-A shows up one day and they don't make good chicken sandwiches, what's going to be mass chaos that they're no longer the top dog of chicken sandwiches.
Did you
And
make that up,
no,
or
I
did
was
you hear
listening
it?
to this guy talking about it. But it's
That's
like it's
fire.
like one of my favorite things right now, and that's where like back to like work ethic, back to your reputation and where you get it from. Like Chick-fil-A has a reputation of being one of the best chicken sandwich spots. Why? Because every single time, whether they make millions of chicken sandwiches, that chicken sandwich that you got was good. It was really, really high level. It was up to their standard. And if you think about that in your day to day life, your small activities or big activities or whatever, it's like, man, this is my next chicken sandwich. Like, I got to try to do it to the best of my ability because I'm only going to be judged on this right here. This
Yeah,
practice, this day, this game, this workout I'm doing with a player, this podcast. Like, this is the best podcast I'm going to try to do because this is my next chicken sandwich. And like when
that
you
was
have that
honestly.
mentality, it kind of goes with the reputation builds reputation deal. So I would kind of tie those two together as my current slogans. But guys around here, Xavier will tell you, I really am officially an old head because I come in with different phrases all the time, bro. So
I
those are my
believe it.
those are my current ones though.
I believe it. That's what's up. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up with some rapid fire answers. I mean, they don't have to be too quick, but it's just quicker answers than like the conversation drivers.
Yep.
So, favorite country to visit?
Favorite country would probably have been Spain. When we went out there with BC, I really enjoyed Spain, bro. Like that was a beautiful place. Playing wise, I really like Germany. Just being in Munich and Würzburg was two beautiful spots. So I'd say Spain to visit, Germany to play in.
That was the next question. Favorite country to play in?
Yeah, Germany would have been my
Craziest?
spot to because it was a little bit more English speakers.
Yeah, that really helped a lot.
Yeah,
Craziest overseas experience?
craziest overseas experience probably be, man. There's a lot of them. I would say when we went to the Slovakia, man, we went to Slovakia and there was like this long road. Actually, no, that one was crazy, but I'll actually tell a different story. That one was crazy. I'll tell two stories. Forget it. Slovakia, we're driving down this long road. There's like nothing. It's snowing. Nothing is around this whole place. We pull up to this little this little castle looking thing in a hotel, and they say like the arena is like 20 more minutes that way, but this is where we're spending the night. And I spent the night at this like little like castle thing in the middle of Slovakia, bro. No Wi-Fi. My room had one light. It was literally like it felt like I was in a war bunker for a night, bro, with no Wi-Fi, no heater, no nothing. I was just like straight like walls, a lamp, and a bed. That was it. Like it was like an army like jail cell. I was like, this is insane. My girlfriend was all upset with me because she didn't hear from me and blah blah. But I didn't know
Oh,
I was going to a place with no Wi-Fi or no anything, so I didn't hear from anybody for a couple days, and all that. And then I would say my other one that I was gonna say was when I was in Ukraine. Man, I was driving down the road, traffic jam. Everybody's like working their way around the road. I'm asking the guy like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" He's like, "Big boom, big boom." He's like pointing ahead. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And when we
dang.
get up there, I look to the left, and a big crater is just in the middle of the ground in the road, and it was just where a bomb had dropped in the middle of the road, bro. And like it created like only one lane of the road was still left, and they hadn't had the money and stuff to fix it. But just seeing that, like, man, like they
Yeah,
got like literally bombed in Ukraine. It was crazy just before this war stuff and everything. So those
yeah,
would be the two craziest for sure.
yeah. I when we landed in Turkey one year, we went on the opposite side of the highway to avoid traffic. So we had like 10 police escorts like stopping highway traffic like a mile down the road. Like that was one of the wildest things. Another Turkey one was we're getting an escort in traffic, and you know how like the police car is in front of the bus, and then we have a bus full of whatever their like Marine Corps is, dudes just all with these
Yep.
automatic rifles.
Yeah, bro.
And in between that bus and our bus, a car cut in between to like try to get in the escort. You know how people are in traffic.
Yeah.
And they stopped and got out and started pointing the guns at him.
Bro, that's insane.
And everybody on the bus, like everybody on our team's like videoing, like, yo, like
Yeah,
it
yeah, bro.
wow,
Stuff like that, bro. Just like, bro, you can't even make it up, bro. It's not
no,
can't even like
to see like their police force like pointing guns like at their I was like, oh. And
different.
then, yeah, bro. The craziest game experience was when we were probably playing in Serbia against Partizan. We
Partizan is
were
crazy, bro.
yeah, so like
Did they
the,
like the firework? Did they like the
yeah,
fireworks
they
like
have
inside?
fireworks, so
Yeah,
it's
it's all smoky in the arena, bro. You can't even see anything.
yeah, bro. It's
Insane, bro.
fireworks and it smells like cigarettes, and
Yes,
you're
bro. They're smoking in the arena, bro.
yeah, so like even like
Nuts.
above anything above the basket is just like a cloud, and
Cloud, bro. I would literally be shooting the ball into a cloud of smoke. Like I'm not
yeah.
exaggerating. The whole game, though.
So we were winning, and I think, obviously the people are mad at the refs and stuff like that. They started throwing quarters and lighters onto the court.
Yeah,
And
crazy.
that's like, in those games, you have a little like, you got like a dugout for your bench. And it's
Mhm.
like, it's protected, your bench is protected by plexiglass, and you hear shit hitting that plexiglass
Right.
like the whole entire game, like people
Yeah,
throwing
it's
shit at.
crazy, bro. Crazy,
Yeah,
man.
so
Crazy.
that's when like the tunnel from the locker room goes all the way onto the court because it's like and there are people with riot gear like lined up because they're like, oh no, like these people will hurt you, like
Yeah. No,
that was so
crazy, bro.
that experience was crazy, but it also like it's like damn, like they care about basketball a lot. It
Yeah,
like
it's fun
it
too at the
gives
same
you,
time.
yeah, it gives you a lot of energy for the game because you're like, damn, this damn near feels like a war, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, it's heavy out there for sure.
Crazy. All right, next question. So, book and or person that has had the biggest impact on your life.
Biggest impact. Person I'd say other than like, my mom, I would say my high school coach, Sharif Matoyer, just because in a lot of ways he guided me through the basketball world in terms of my college decision, both of them. And I still go to him for a lot of advice just in life and just, you know, anything. Like when I'm home, I kind of lean on him for a lot of advice. So I'd say Sharif. is a big role model
How
for
is
me.
he so knowledgeable? Like what is his
He
background?
just in the same way, like kind of like I feel like as I'll get older, like he's just done so many different things. Like he played, he went to college, he thought about playing overseas. He coached for a little while, thought about college coaching. Coached us in high school, worked with Nike basketball, started his own business. Like he's just done so many different things, and he's just local
Yeah,
to Long Beach. I just really leaned on him a
that's
lot
awesome.
during my life. So I would definitely say him. In terms of a book, I mean, there's several that are really good. Coaching wise, I would say actually this Brett Ledbetter book, What Drives Winning, is a
Mm,
really good book in terms of just like team building and kind of like building the whole person as a player. Financially, I'd say like Rich Dad Poor Dad was a
definitely.
good book for me. Um, that's a really good like just kind of financial based book, um, personal book. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them, but those would
Yeah,
be kind of the ones I kind of think off the top of my head.
that's good stuff. All right, what is your dream job?
Honestly, be head coach of Long Beach State University. That's my dream job.
Mm,
I want to be back in my hometown. As you know, I'm a family guy. Like my goal someday would be to be the head coach at Long Beach State or somewhere in Southern California where I'm close enough to be around my family and be in charge of a program that I'm changing kids' lives, but also like I'm no longer sacrificing like not ever seeing my family. Like so
yeah,
many years of my life from the day I left for Boston College to the few years I had at Arizona to the 5 years I spent 3 years at Boston College, 5 years overseas, another 3 years here in Ohio. Like, I just feel like I've spent so much of my life. I mean, that's 10 years plus, just
yeah,
like not being around. Just, and even though when I am around, I'm not counting 3 years I've been in Arizona. Like, that's still not home. Like, so it's just like, I'd love to be able to say, like, I'm a Southern California resident. My ID has a house or an apartment that has, you know, my address that I live in California and I'm helping kids, lives. Like
yeah.
that'd be my dream. Could be Long Beach State, could be any other school, but somewhere in Southern California for sure.
That's awesome, bro.
I would take a job in Southern California, like let's just say Long Beach State, over a job at like let's say Florida State or something
Mm,
like that, like a high major job. People would think I'm crazy. I would try to get the salaries as close as possible, but like I know I would probably be taking double, like half the money to go coach somewhere else. But I just think that's what I would do. If it
that's
was
awesome.
1 million to be at Florida State and 420 with a bonus at Long Beach State, give me the 420 at Long Beach State or
Yo,
wherever
bro. Yeah,
UCLA or whatever. Like I'd rather do that. So.
that is a wholesome answer, bro. I love it.
No, it's just, but not even wholesome. It's just like your purpose. Like it's just like you
More
at
about
that point.
self.
It's gonna have taken me several more years to get to that point. Like, why would I want to like if I get the opportunity? Why would I want to like not take it?
Yeah. No, but that's also a wholesome answer to that.
Oh,
Like
it's
that was
fair.
a wholesome
It's
reasoning.
more of like the pain that we've been talking about, though. Too. It's just like, bro, like
Yeah.
I don't want to the moment I don't have to put myself through that anymore will be the
Mm.
moment. Like if I can control it, I'm gonna control it. You know what I mean? Like
That's what
that's
drives your fulfillment.
yeah, like I don't want to like as soon as I don't have to be away from my friends and family, I don't want to do that anymore. But I'm
That's
just
really
not at that
cool.
stage.
That's cool. All right, last question. Besides going out to eat, what is your favorite college memory?
Dude, we had so many, bro. So many. I would say we had so many. At BC, I think my favorite two memories on the court were when we beat Florida State at home our freshman year. And when we went to Syracuse and won at Syracuse for Dick Kelly, as you know, DK was a huge part of like our classes' lives. Like he used to take us over for barbecue and stuff. So on the court, those would be my two favorite at BC. And then off the court, shoot, bro, I honestly didn't. I love doing just sitting in the living room, bro. We just be playing video games or like playing Mario Kart or playing 2K or just doing nothing, just ordering, Eagles Deli and just crushing. even like when Kyle spit on the wall and it was disgusting, or like or if you remember when we were rapping and we were like, Lil Wayne, the F is for, and we paused, like little moments like that, bro. Just like being in the dorms was tight,
Dude,
bro.
you know what's wild is you get the Facebook notifications, and it'll be like you had a memory with Ryan Anderson, and it'll go back to 2011, and
We
you
had
would
a
be
lot of memories,
bro.
bro, and we used
First
to
of
be
all,
spinning like this all the time.
first of all, the way we were using Facebook now is wild.
Yeah, I don't even check it anymore, really, because I'm like, bro, that stuff
Like,
is
the
scary
pictures
stuff.
and the stuff we were talking about is just like it's outlandish that that shit is online now.
Yeah, but no,
That's
those are my best memories for sure, man. DK game at Syracuse, what
yeah,
a special game that was. Florida State at home, and then bro, just literally just shooting it and hanging out with you guys in the dorm, bro. Like that was so
yeah,
many laughs and like to our point about like to wrap it up with the pain and everything. Like those are the moments like I think about like the game gave me some of my best memories too. Like some of my lowest moments, but also some of my best moments. Like
absolutely.
I got to get an education. I got to meet guys like you, who I had a lot of respect for, and just we became boys. Like in the game, just like it is now, bro. It's like the game that has brought us so close together that even if we don't talk for years, we're still tight because of
Yeah,
how much the game forged us together. All my teammates, I'm like that. Like I could talk to a teammate and not talk to him for 3 years, and it's like we're tight, bro. We're tight because of the
I
bond
feel
of the
like
game.
we haven't talked in like 10 years, and I just hit you up like, yo, like I
Yeah, and
want
it's
you
but
know,
and it's always and it's we're always gonna be tight, because it's just
for
like we
sure.
don't have to talk all the time to be that way. So that's what I would just say. And like all the pain we might have talked about, the good and the bad moments, like the blessings that the game gave us, bro, is like the memories, the relationships, and it's just our job in your field and in my field to just give it back. And that's why I feel the way I do about being in Southern California, because in my own way, I'm like, man, could I find the next Ryan Anderson in Southern California? And because he's met me, his path goes differently than if he wouldn't have met me. That's my
Yeah,
whole process. That's my whole
yeah,
process. That's what I'm trying to prepare for. And it takes, back to what we said about coach, it takes work. Like I have to know what I'm doing. I have to work hard. I have to be honest with him. Like, but my goal is like, can it be prepared to be the influence that I wish I would have had in the medical field, in the basketball sense, in the big bro mentorship, in the academic realm, all of it. Could you become a guy that when your time comes at the end, whenever your last day is, that like you got hundreds of kids that came to your funeral? It's like, man, like look at all the guys that like, he positively affected and their
yeah.
families and their kids. And like that's all that really motivates me. And I try to stay focused on that when it gets going tough. So that's what I would that's what I would kind of say, bro. The pain also gave us some great relationships and great memories. So
It really did, bro. Pain is your roadmap, and that's
yep,
what I tell people. That's
yep,
awesome. Well, that's a great way to wrap it up too. So, if you have any dudes fighting knee pain, like anything that is lingering, and you guys cannot figure it out, you gotta
yeah,
send it to me. All right,
yeah,
because at
yeah.
least
Luckily, knock on wood, we're healthy right now. So
good,
hopefully, hopefully we stay that way. But yeah, for sure, if some stuff comes up during the season, I'll definitely have them
because
reach out.
I got like I'm doing this to try to spread the message, and like I really want to just reach people like people who were in my situation. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
That it's like
right,
down and out. If it and it doesn't have to be like your school or your coaching staff is lacking something. Maybe I can just add a little something to enhance your
right.
wellness program. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Because
No,
the guys with knee pain, it doesn't have to be like that. And just like we talked about at the beginning, if it's limiting your performance, like you don't want to have to worry about that on a daily basis.
no, hundred
You know what
percent,
I'm saying?
100%. So, no, that's part of it too. Is like having a net of people that can help in areas that I don't all know about. That's part of
Yeah.
being the guy that I'm talking about. Like being able to be able to be that person that can help any situation. Some of it is being humble and understanding enough that I don't know everything, and but this guy does, or this guy does, or whatever. So, nah, for sure, bro. So if anything comes up, I'll let you know, or we can get you on a call with them, or whatever you want to do. But
Yeah,
for sure,
bro.
man. But it was fun, man, catching up and talking about a lot of things that you know we don't talk about much. And it's like I talk a little bit sometimes about being a former player, but it's mostly because I'm here with Sean at Xavier. I mostly, it's about Arizona. Not many
Yeah,
people, and I don't ever really talk about the BC days. It's almost like they didn't happen, but that was 3 years
yeah.
of my life,
It's
and
tough.
3 years of development, and 3 years of memories that it's cool to kind of reflect on with you, man. So
Yeah, for
appreciate you
real.
reaching out to me about the link, bro. And like I
Absolutely.
said, we're locked in for life, brother. So if you need something from me, just hit me. But I'm gonna be trying to get these
Yeah,
bozos better and try to help their dreams come true. So
I
that's what
feel the
I'm
same
on.
way, bro.